scones, and really, who doesn't? You may want to give this recipe a try. Here's Chef Nicole with one that is filled with bacon, cheddar, and chive.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Taste of the Ozarks. I love baking and I love a good scone, but I found this scone recipe that's absolutely wonderful. It's not sweet, it's actually savory. It's a bacon, cheddar, and chive scone. So whether you're planning a spring brunch, you just want a really yummy snack, or you're trying to figure out something different to do for breakfast on the weekend, this is an absolutely awesome recipe. Pro tip, this is actually awesome for making breakfast on the go for work. So if you want to make this ahead on the weekend and just heat it up before you're heading out the door, this is a great one too. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. If you're making scones or biscuits or anything like that, one of the most important things to think about is your butter. And you really want your butter to be cold, refrigerator cold. And we're going to cut this butter into cubes so that we can press it into our dry ingredients for our biscuit mix. The reason it's so important that your butter is cold is because when you put it in the super hot oven, that butter is actually going to help your biscuit mix rise. And when the butter melts out of the biscuit mix, that's when you're going to have those awesome flaky pockets of dough that just make a wonderful, delicious pastry. So we've pre-cut some butter. We're going to put this other butter in here as well. This is the start of adding moisture into our biscuits. I've actually just got 2 cups of Bisquick mix down here. Any kind of biscuit mix will work just fine. Or if you want to go from scratch and do your flour, your salt, your baking soda, all that stuff on its own, you can do that as well. But we're just taking the back of the fork and slowly trying to incorporate some of this cold butter. You do want to have good, about pea-sized chunks of butter in your mix here, because again, that's how you're going to get a good, flaky, crispy biscuit. And once we've got these kind of worked in, we're gonna add in some of the other elements of moisture as well. I've got some bacon bits that I cooked here. There's, obviously a lot of fat in bacon, and that's gonna add some moisture to this as well. And then we shredded some cheddar cheese. Go ahead and put this in here. Get those mixed around as well and really worked in. And then the last little bit of pre-liquid we're gonna add is just some chopped chives. Now I'm using chives, not green onions. Chives are quite a bit smaller here, and when you're doing something like these biscuits, the smaller is a little bit better because you can get all of that flavor into all those bite-sized pieces. This looks like a lot of chives. It's really not. It adds really wonderful flavor and it spreads out really well throughout the biscuit mix. Get this all chopped up and scoop that straight into there. Again, give that a good mix. Now the last ingredient we're gonna add to this is our milk. I'm using oat milk just because I've got a daughter who doesn't do super well with just regular milk, but you can use any kind of milk you want to. It's really just the liquid that we're putting in here. And we're gonna add this in at about a tablespoon at a time. And that's because you don't want your biscuit mix to become too moist. You also don't want to over mix it though. And you can see we're starting to get into dough ball form now. So before I mix it too much, I'm gonna spread just a little bit of flour out on my countertop. And what I love about these scones is you're gonna actually hand shape these, so you don't even have to get the rolling pin dirty, which is really nice. Get all that good ingredients off the fork there. We're gonna toss this all out on our countertop here. And it looks a little bit crumbly, but honestly, once we've hand worked it just a little bit, and that butter has started to warm in your hands a little bit, it's gonna come together really, really quickly. All right, now once we've got them in that, we are gonna cut this into 4 squares. So once across the side there, once across the middle here, and then each square, you're gonna cut into 2 triangles here. And then once everybody's all cut up, we're just gonna start placing these on our lined baking dish. Now I'm using a silicone mat on this. I would definitely recommend one. These scones aren't going to spread out too terribly much, so you don't have to be too worried about getting them relatively close together. It's not gonna hurt anything. And then the last thing that we're gonna do before we put these in the oven is I have some seasoned garlic salt here. We are gonna add some olive oil to this. Now you could use melted butter if you want to, but olive oil's got a higher smoke point, and we are gonna put these in a 400-degree oven. So I do wanna make sure that I'm using something that's got a slightly higher smoke point. We're gonna take our brush and mix these 2 together here. And then we're gonna brush some of this garlic salt olive oil on the top of each one of these scones. It's gonna give them a nice flavor. It's gonna help to make the top really nice and crunchy, while the inside is nice and soft and tender. We'll go ahead and let those bake. And then once these come out, they are golden brown. They look absolutely delicious. You can see the chives and the cheddar and the bacon all through them. They're delicious room temperature. If you toss them in the microwave for 10 to 15 seconds, they're even better. Wonderful new option for your brunch or breakfast. Give it a try, and we'll see you guys next time on Taste of the Ozarks.